Welcome to another episode of Saloon Talk at the Tripleshot Saloon. The Tripleshot Saloon is where we serve hard drinks to men that want to get drunk fast. So if you want some cup of coffee or a candy-ass lemonade, you're gonna have to bring your own drink, and that's allowed. Now there's a couple other things you need to know about the Tripleshot Saloon. Around these parts, we ain't got no law and order, so men settle their differences themselves, usually with a 6-gun, and violence might break out at any moment. So if it does, don't let it startle you. Now, let's get right into today's subject. So today's subject is, what the hell's wrong with modern Western movies? You know, I've been watching a lot of Western movies lately, mostly on Tubi. And I've seen a lot of the old ones, not all of them, but a lot of them. And I've been watching some of those new Westerns that have come out in the last 10 or 15 years, especially the ones that came out in the last 2 or 3 years. They're all low-budget movies. And I think a lot of people think that the reason those Westerns aren't any good is because they're low-budget. And the low budget has a lot to do with that, I'm sure. You know, in some cases, they don't even have a decent Western town to have as a backdrop, you know. But I think the biggest problem is they don't have a script. They don't have a story and they don't have a script. And I think the scripts they're using, they're overthinking the Western to some degree. I think they feel like they don't want to repeat any of the same old themes. And of course, they can't repeat the same stories without remaking a movie and paying the copyright fee to do that, you know. But they don't even want to revisit the classic themes of Western movies, which is, to me, some of the classic themes are the well thought out revenge theme, where the protagonist has a very realistic revenge scenario. It gives him motive to go after these guys he wants revenge on. Now they do visit the revenge theme in some of these new movies, but a lot of times it's so over the top, the amount of atrocity that they want revenge for, that it's disturbing, you know. And those old classic Westerns didn't do that, you know. So I think that's one problem is if they do revisit something like revenge, it's got to be over the top. A lot of these new Westerns are really gory. They're excessively gory, excessively disturbing. The stories aren't very good. The scripts aren't good. You know, the dialogue, line to line, just the dialogue between two people, it isn't compelling. And it's hard to pay attention to them. You know, I finally got to the point that instead of trying to watch the whole movie, I would pick one out and I would say to myself, okay, I'm gonna time how many minutes it takes me to get to where I don't want to see this anymore. I'm not gonna make myself watch this movie. If it's no good, it's no good. It's the movie maker's job, just like the book writer's job. It's a book writer's job to make me turn pages. And if he does his job really well, I read the first page, it's so good I got to turn to the second page. Or I read the second page, I got to turn and turn. So an author, if he's any good, will write a page turner. And with a movie, it's the same thing in my opinion. If they can't hold your attention through the first minute, the second minute, the third minute, and you feel like turning it off, just turn it off. That's what I do. So, I mean, a lot of these movies, I was getting like 7 or 8 minutes into it, maybe 15 minutes. You know, I mean, I wouldn't leave at the very first thing I didn't like. I would leave when I got bored, and I got bored really quickly in a lot of these movies. And it's mostly non-entertaining dialogue was the number one thing that caused me to just not be interested in it. The other thing was, a lot of these new movies, they start with a tight shot. You know, a classic Western starts with a big wide shot, you know, the valley, the town, the ranch. You know, a guy on a horse is tiny because the land is big around him. And a lot of these new Westerns, they start with a guy. One start with a guy in the dirt, and you can only see like his head and his one hand, you know, and there's a bug there. He's going to grab a bug and eat it. You know, I get it. Okay, he's desperate. He's in a desperate situation, but I mean, they should start with a wide shot. You know, start with a wide shot. You know, it costs more money. You got to have better location. I know some of that is the budget, you know, and Hollywood doesn't have a budget for 90% of these movies anymore, and that's outside of the control of the movie producer most of the time. But I did see a 1956 Western the other day. It was called Gun the Man Down, 1956. James Arness was the main star in that. And what was cool about it is that you could tell it wasn't a big budget Western. It was like a medium low budget Western. Now, they did have a pretty decent little town to work with, which they had a bunch of those back then that don't exist anymore. But the story was simple. It was a simple story of revenge. And there was only like 4 main characters in the whole movie. They didn't fill the whole town out with extras that made the town look like it was really full of people most of the time, you know. You can tell they filmed that quickly on a budget, but they had a great story, a great script, and it held my attention for an hour and a half. And I looked up that movie. I went on, I read, I can't remember all the names, but a lot of the people that were in that movie, it was their first time. It was James Arness's, it wasn't his first role in a movie. He was in a science fiction movie before that, but it was like his second big role. It was the director's first time out directing, and that director went on to direct something like 100 episodes of Gunsmoke, as well as a bunch of Western movies and stuff. And so a lot of these people had talent. They didn't have a huge budget. I mean, I'm sure proportionally, adjusted for inflation, they had a bigger budget than the Westerns do now, but they mostly had a great story and a great script. And it just goes to show what can be done with a great story and a great script. And the other thing, I think a lot of these new Westerns, where they get in trouble is some of them are woke, and Westerns aren't woke. You know, woke is a big mistake in a Western. You know, either that or the endings are dark. You know, a classic ending of a Western movie, the good guys win, the bad guys lose, and the good guy gets the girl. That's the way it is. And I think they think, well, we've seen that too much, we're tired of it. We are not tired of it. That is the classic story. And we don't get tired of those classic story themes that we enjoy. You know, you can't do an identical story, that's true, but the theme needs to be there. And the Western has certain themes that they've abandoned in most of these new movies. You know, so they're not just low, they're low budget, but they got terrible stories, terrible scripts, you know. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Well, thanks for tuning in to that episode of Saloon Talk. We'll see you on the next Saloon Talk, but before you go, let's shoot some playing cards, and I'll put them up for sale. Okay, we're going to shoot the 3s and the queens, starting with the 3s. Winchester 73 45 Colt cartridge. Be working left to right, going for the lower left corner of the card, the lower left area without getting into the edge. Just about right. Clubs. Diamonds next. What the hell? I went under that diamond. I missed it clean. The hell. It's like it just kind of kissed the edge of it, but it almost missed it clean. That getting a little bit too presumptuous here. This is still hard. There you go, I got it. Thing about shooting precision like this, you gotta think, as you break that trigger, you gotta think about how the trigger's feeling more than the visuals. If you focus on the visuals, you'll muff the trigger. You gotta focus on letting that trigger surprise you. Stop thinking about the trigger, you'll have trouble. That one I got low on the spades. Once again, the spades issue arises. I had to discount more spades last time. So that spades of that three of spades will be discounted because I got into the edge there. Let's go up and take a close look. Every time I think, oh, I got this, that's when you screw up. Look at that 3 of diamonds. I literally, I missed it clean. I mean, I got just a little bullet on the edge, just a little bit dirty there. But the second hit was good. All right, so the 3 of spades, we'll definitely have to discount that. Look at that, I hardly got into it. Well, I should shoot it again. I don't know what to do with it. It's so far off of the edge. Maybe I'll give that one kind of a special discount for somebody. I don't want to shoot it again. I did shoot in the first deck. I shot some of them twice. I don't like doing that. It is what it is. We'll leave it as it is. I'll give it an extra discount. The rest of these turned out pretty good. That one technically has 2 hits, but I'm not going to count that. It's got a little bit of a thing there. It makes it unique. 3 of clubs. Nice hit. Didn't get in the logo. 3 of hearts. So anyway, this one will have more than the usual discount because it's a bigger than usual screw up. Now we'll do the queens. Okay, we got the queens up there. Going to work left to right again. Starting with the clubs. Just going for the lower left area on the card to stay out of the logo and the signature. Right where I wanted it. Next card over, what is that? Diamonds? It's diamonds. Damn it! Trigger went off before I expected it to, and I nicked the edge real bad. I'm going to put a second one in there. I don't like putting a second bullet hole, but I got more than half of it off the card. That one's going to get a big discount. Come on. All right. Queen of diamonds. Wait a minute, I got to look at that. Yeah, it hit where I hit. I got half the bullet off the card. I'm going to shoot it again. That one will go to discount. I wasn't sure if that was an old bullet hole in the paper or if that was the card. All right, a little higher. Still a little on the low side. That one will get a discount. Okay, I got spades coming up. This is spades, people. It's always an emergency for me. Can I get the spades card correctly? Where did I shoot that at? My eye was drawn to the bullet hole that was low in the paper from a prior miss, and I almost put it right through this same hole, but I nicked the card. So that one's going to have to get a discount, put a second bullet in it. Your eye's drawn to any blemish on a target. There's a dirty mark or something. It can, come on. It'll pull your aim over there. Felt myself pull that sucker down. Happened again. My eye pulled down to that hole. Now there's one ragged hole below the card from a prior miss. I've hit it 3 times. Told you, spades. Spades are not lucky for me. All right. This time it's going to go in the right place. No more screwing around. All right, that's better. That's where it should go. What a mess. All right, last card. Hearts, Queen of Hearts. And that one's pretty good. It's a little close to the edge, but I didn't break it. All right, let's go take a look at them. That Queen of Spades, or yeah, Spades. What a mess. Yeah, you know, I had a prior hole from before down here, and that was the first hit, and that was the second hit. That was the third hit, so that one get a discount. This one, I just got it inside. It's lower than I wanted it, but it's on the card. But this one will be discounted for those little screw ups, but it makes it unique. This one will be discounted for that screw up. I was crowding it too low. I've been usually too low on these when I'm trying to get just in this area right here. But I don't want to get into the logo, and I end up shying away from the logo too much sometimes. But this one's a good hit. Queen of Clubs. That's where I'm trying to put it at every time. Not higher, not lower, right there. Thanks for tuning in to the second installment of the second TUCOtheratt deck, and I'll see you next week. We'll do the jacks and the fours. See you then.